everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review video for you guys, and I'm going to be reviewing the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. And I got this probably a week and a half to 2 weeks ago, and I think I've used it just about every day since. And I'd heard about this a while ago, but then the price tag was always off-putting to me. So I kind of always had it in the back of my head, and I had heard mixed reviews on the product. So it was something that I wasn't like jumping out of my skin to buy, but also that I was still curious to try. And this foundation claims to be full coverage, long wearing, etc, etc, etc. If you're looking for a foundation that's going to blur your pores or be dewy or a satin finish or whatever, this is not it. This is definitely a matte finish foundation, which I'm okay with. It's a natural matte look. It doesn't look really flat and cakey. It looks like a natural, just matter than satin finish. So I think most skin, if you haven't, layered on a bunch of moisturizer and stuff, looks semi-matte just on its own, and this does that for you. And I like that personally as a combo skin girl, because that means that I can put on 1,000 pounds of highlight and not feel like I'm going to look oilier and oilier throughout the day. So this is a great foundation for that. I am in the shade Bisque Medium, and I do like that there is quite a range of colors for this foundation. I think there's like 28 colors if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. It might be less than that. But I did notice that there was a good amount of dark colors as well. So I do like that this foundation is more inclusive than some of the other ones that I have used. I do, however, find that this foundation runs just slightly yellow. And me being the person who apparently likes to live dangerously, I ordered this sight unseen. I had not ever tried it on my skin. I didn't ever get a sample. I didn't even get matched. And I think I have tried so many foundations in my life now that I'm kind of getting a better hang of looking for the certain descriptive words, that I kind of can know if a foundation is going to fit me or not. And I thought with this one that it was either going to fit me or it was going to be just close enough that I would know where to go from here. And I could always take it back to the Sephora and a JCPenney, that's the only one I have around me, and exchange it if I needed to. Even though this foundation is labeled as light with neutral undertones, and this goes all the way from fair with pink undertones, I believe, to like very dark with yellow undertones. But even though this is labeled as neutral, it's more of a warm neutral, which I can make work. It's not something that I put on and I'm like, oh no, that's way too yellow. It's something that with the powders I put over it and all that, it ends up looking just fine on my skin. I have heard from people who have tried other shades of this that even the ones that say that they run cool are still slightly warm, or slightly yellow. So that's something to be concerned with if you are very, very cool toned. I'm not sure if you would find a foundation in this range that would work for you. Now, for the foundation itself, you pull off this cap, and there's another cap inside, and you twist this open. And at first, when I first saw this, however many months ago when it first came out, I thought this was going to be a dropper like some of those foundations had been that came out around the same time, but it is just a stick, basically, with a little ball at the end. And for me, this is not ideal. If I didn't apply my foundation the way that I do, I would find this very unhygienic. If I was always tapping this on the back of my hand, or even dotting it on my face, eventually this foundation would be like bacteria heaven. And so I don't want that, because I want this $55 foundation to last as long as possible. So I have a stainless steel palette that I do all my foundation on. I always put the foundation on here first, then pick it up and put it on my face. That way I'm not contaminating the bottle it comes in. And if I'm ever doing anybody else's makeup, it keeps me from contaminating the bottle. And it's also, if I'm using the same kind of foundation that I would use, if it's the same from the same bottle, I know that I am not contaminating their face with my stuff. So most hygienic way that I have found. So basically what I do is I take the dropper out, and I will take my little palette and I just will tap some of the product on there, and this is probably 3/4 of the amount I need. So if you can see how small that is, you can see how very, very, very little of this product you need, and that is a definite pro for me. This product is super expensive for what it is. It's a $55 foundation, and that's US dollars. So the price tag is definitely a sticker shock type of price tag unless you are rich. And if you are, I envy you, but I am not. So one thing that I really appreciate about this foundation is that, like I said, a little tiny bit goes a super long way. And when you put this foundation out, you wouldn't necessarily think that because it is kind of a thicker foundation. If you can see, I know it's kind of hard to tell, but if you see, it's pretty thick for what it is. It's not a serum foundation. It's not really liquidy like that. It's still, you know, a regular liquid foundation that's got some weight to it. So you wouldn't think off the bat that you could use such a little amount and have it go such a long way. But blending it out, I mean, it's super, super full coverage, and you can see I didn't blend it out all the way. I can use just the tiniest bit and cover my whole face. I have used this in a couple tutorials so far, and I will list them below so you can see it in action. So what I will do, I will just dot a couple dots all over my face, and then I will buff it out. I use, and it's dirty, sorry, a stippling brush like this to blend it out, and I find that it blends beautifully with this. I like it also blended out with a beauty blender. If you wanted to reduce the coverage a little bit, you could do that. I have also mixed this foundation with a lower coverage foundation, and I used the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue, and it mixes really well with other foundations, which again is a pro for it because that means that you can stretch it out even farther. Instead of going through a bottle in a couple months or whatever, you can have this for, you know, until it goes bad, basically, if you use it wisely. So I do like that. I don't find that it's streaky. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I don't find that it fills in your pores or smooths them over or does anything like that, but I also don't find that it enhances them. So I'm very big on products not doing something bad. So if they don't do all of the things that I want them to do, if they're not doing something to add to my face in a bad way, I would much prefer that. So I can use a different primer to fill in my pores if I so desire. I can use a luminous primer if I wanted to add more dewiness, which I have. And though this foundation is very, very full coverage, it still did peek through just enough that it was a little bit, you know, more of a satin finish than a matte one. I do think that if you were to mix a liquid highlighter in with this, which I haven't done, that would also work since it mixes so well with other foundations. I do think, though, however, that your best bet is to use a powder highlight over top. And I find that highlighters like the Hourglass Ambient Lighting powders that you can put all over the face afterwards, and then, you know, a highlight like this one on top of it to highlight where you'd like is a good way to go. And I think some people would look at that and be like, why would I do something like that? Why would I put on a matte foundation just to change the texture of it afterwards or whatever? And I can understand that. However, if you want something that is as full of coverage as this, you know, there's always a trade-off in foundations. And if Marc Jacobs decided tomorrow to come out with this remarkable foundation with this coverage and a dewier finish, I bet it would be amazing. And I bet that, you know, then everybody could be happy. But for right now, for me, I'm perfectly happy to do this because it works with my skin type. So wear time. Trying to like stay organized because I could ramble about this forever, but I have very long days. I am up in the morning, I leave my house, and I am gone for about 11.5 hours before I get home at night. And then I don't take off my makeup until like right before I go to bed, because I'm not one of those people who like feels like I have to get my makeup off the very second I get home or I'm gonna die. I'm not one of those people. So I mean, this lasts on me for a good 15 hours without me needing to touch up. And I am a face toucher. I'm just gonna put that out there. I touch my face all the time. I lean my face on my hands. I do all of it. I scratch. I'm a face toucher. So throughout the day at work, I touch my face. And I do notice that you can wipe the foundation away if you're too aggressive, but if you're just doing the like typical I'm gonna lean my face against my hand, you're not going to be left with like a blank space right here where you took away all your foundation. So I appreciate that. So if I have trouble spots on my face and I've been touching them throughout the day, then yes, I will need to touch that up because of me, that's my fault. But anywhere else on my face where I don't normally touch, lasts. Like there, I think it would last through sleep if I could ever do that, but I can't do that. So I am super impressed with the coverage of this. I am super impressed with the longevity of this, and I am super impressed that it doesn't break up anywhere throughout the day. I have noticed with the Sephora Bright Future concealer that I use, that if I take this down my nose and in other highlight areas, it can break up the foundation underneath that, but I noticed that with other foundations as well. So basically what I have started doing is just only putting the concealer under my eyes and highlighting again with a powder instead of with the concealer, which is a compromise I'm willing to make because, again, it's not just specific to this foundation. I do also find that I have stopped using my corrector, my under eye corrector, completely since I started using this foundation. And even on the days where I have not worn this foundation since I got it, I have used this under my eyes because it does such a great job of covering up the dark circles I have enough that the concealer on top actually covers everything. And I have been having a lot of trouble with my correctors and concealer combination lately because I find that no matter what, like right here always looks really dark, like no matter what I do. So when I noticed that I could put this foundation underneath my eyes, it was like an epiphany because I am very much in the camp of do not put foundation underneath your eyes. It just is another product that's going to crease. All you're doing is asking for trouble by putting foundation underneath your eyes. And then I did that with this one and it works out so well. I don't notice that it creases at all throughout the day. I think it actually makes the concealer that I put on top last even longer and do a better job. So yeah, I don't know why, I really don't know why the concealer doesn't break up the foundation under my eyes. I don't know if it's because I rub my nose throughout the day or whatever, if it's me. But like I said, it's just something that I've noticed and I thought I would throw that out there in case you guys are face touchers like me. We all have vices and that is definitely mine. So yeah, trying to think, last thoughts. For the price, I think even though it is a huge sticker shock price, I think it's worth it. And I waited until I got my cash back from Ebates to purchase this because I had done like 90% of my Christmas shopping online this year. So I had gotten quite a hefty cashback thing from Ebates, so I had enough to feel okay about purchasing this and not feel like I was totally wasting money. And I almost wish that I would have just put the money out myself before this just so that I could have it because I think I will use this forever. So, you know, foundation is one of those things that even when you think you found your holy grail, for me at least, you kind of are always looking for the next one that's going to be even better. So it's not going to be the last foundation I try, but I do feel like this will be a foundation that I come back to all the time, no matter what. This is the only foundation that I have ever tried that covers the freckle on my nose that's like right here, which I can't even get covered with concealer. So the fact that this covers that alone is crazy to me. I don't feel it throughout the day. It dries down so that if you touch your face, it doesn't feel tacky or anything, and a little goes a super long way. I don't really think I have any cons for this, except for the price, even though I think it's still worth it for the price. You know, I think it's a really, really great foundation, and it's something that if you have the opportunity to go get a sample of it, that sample would last you like 3 months because Sephora is quite generous with their sample sizes, and you just need so little of this foundation to cover your whole face. And I think the only reason why you would not like this foundation is if you're dry skinned and you don't moisturize well enough beforehand, and if you put too much on. It's just one of those foundations that if you wear too much, it's not going to be okay. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. It was my first really straight review video and I felt a little bit all over the place even though I tried to prepare, but I ramble a lot, and I'm really sorry. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know below. Again, I will leave those other videos where I've used this foundation in the description bar if you'd like to see it in action. Other than that, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you're at. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in a couple days. Bye, everyone.